marked somewhere. Okay. Anyway, one more time for the filmmakers, please. I know Mark is here, so we'll just kind of kill time until he comes back in. But thank you so much for being here. Let's move it. Come closer. Yeah. Let's see. We'll do this first. Hi, everyone. There we go. I'll start with you, with Contours. It's such a beautiful film, and it's really lovely. And I've seen it a few times, and I guess my main question, just to kind of like get things rolling, I'm gonna open it up to audience questions in just a second, but directing ASL is something that's like extremely unique, and we don't see it that often. Really curious about, hey, how's it going? Good. Just curious about directing in ASL. If you could talk a little bit about the process.
Yeah, it is probably the hardest thing I've had to do on set before. Just, I guess, to paint a picture of the hardest scene of the movie for me was actually the makeout scene in the bathroom stall. And just, describing how many people were in that stall is, it's shocking because, it's me, it's my DP, we have a boom op, and then we have an intimacy coordinator. The intimacy coordinator has an ASL interpreter. The actors both have each of their interpreters, and every time I'm having a conversation with the intimacy coordinator, both interpreters are interpreting that and signing it to the actors. So there's like 6 people in there, and every word I say is being translated because my ASL was not good enough for me to be able to handle that conversation, which was a complex scene. It's really tough, but as a director, it actually makes you, I think, really more aware of the direction you're giving. Every single word you're saying to the actors is way more thought through because everything is being translated to them. Yeah. And you need to be really efficient with your direction. So it was fun, and I learned a lot, and definitely the toughest thing ever. Definitely still have some trauma from that scene.
I can imagine. Also, great casting as well. I mean, I don't know if you're casting for faces, but they definitely, when they're breaking the fourth wall, especially towards the end of the film, it's just like, this is absolutely perfect. And they're dynamic together. I mean, I really did believe it was courtship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so Lauren, I always had her in mind for this character. And, she's married with kids, and it was the strikes, and she was doing the short, as a favor for us. But John was a find, and he just killed it on his casting tape, and their chemistry was really special and interesting. And she's someone that married, he had been in long-term relationships, so they were each coming to their roles with different, personal experiences. But I remember by the time we wrapped, John pulled me aside and he said, he didn't know Lauren was married, so this whole time he had this massive crush on her, and she was not wearing her ring or anything. So he was like, "God, what do you think I should do? Should I get her number?" I was like, "Listen, John, she's But it was alive. The chemistry was there, and they really got on, and it's so believable. It was wonderful working with them.
Yeah, life imitates art.
Yeah.
Dead grandma.
Actually, I have a question about that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's go. What a segue.
The clearing the artwork in there. I was curious about that. Was it all one artist, or did you know the gallery? Because that's what I would say. I was like, how'd they get clearance for all of these art pieces?
Yeah, so we got clearance because that gallery owner represents all the artists. So he's the one that reached out to each one of them, and they were all pumped actually to have their, I'm pretty sure they've all seen the short, but it was all through the gallery, and they were very nice to work with. I mean, it was just one big room, and we had to, pick we went through their archives, we picked each art, me and my production designer. So it was a fun experience.
Oh, you got to pick the art?
Yeah, we got to pick it.
Wow,
they had a roster of 20 artists, and we got to pick which ones we wanted.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Turning it back to you for a second, with Dead Grandma. I think I know, such a weird thing to say every time, but you had a day job as a preschool teacher, and you would just envision the worst case scenario, or how did this come about?
Not exactly. I mean, yes, I was. So for 3 years I worked as a preschool teacher in Austin, and during that time, for most of that time, I was one of the teachers in the nursery. So I was working with 3-month-olds to 12-month-olds, and like with 8 kids at a time, and the ratios were 4 to 1, so there would be 2 teachers in there with 8 kids. Mm-hmm. So I was like living in baby land for like 2.5 years, and there would be, on any given day, I'd be like, I have 6 women's breast milked on me, you know, in one form or another, either through spit up or thrown bottle or whatever. And so it was like a weird kind of like psychological space to be in. It was also when I was first kind of really getting into doing movies. And so like, just the 2 things kind of bled into each other. Like I was like, oh, when babies are crying, they're either hurt or they're hungry or they want attention, or they just need to cry and just leave them alone. And I was like, working with actors, if they're upset, they're either hurt or they're hungry, or, you know, like, I was like, they're seeing all this overlap between the 2 things. But there was one day, I just got this in my head, I was like, I wonder what the babies would do if I just laid down on the floor and didn't move. And, you know, I'm in charge, like, what are they gonna do, tell on me? They're babies, they can't even talk. So I just laid down on the floor, and they just acted curious. Like they kind of laughed, or they came over and started hitting me on the head, and I just wouldn't move. And then I started going, oh, who wants to play dead grandma? And then I would go, and I just lay there and let the babies play with me. And that just kind of became a running gag in the room, and the other teachers got a kick out of it. Because, you know, that's the thing, if you ever have a baby that's in a nursery, they're like doing inappropriate stuff all the time, because they're like, the babies aren't gonna tell on anybody. But so then I was like, this is a really interesting image. The idea of a dead grandma and a baby I was like, but how is that, it's not really a story. And then I had the idea, oh, what if there's a phone call? And then that was basically it. And then it was like, oh yeah, one shot, like slow zoom out, this is the whole thing. Like, and that was actually a while ago, and I kind of like filed it away. And last year, so my wife Rachel Kempf and I, we make movies together, and we had a movie that we had shot in 2024, and post-production was taking a really long time. It's a feature, post-production was taking a really long time, and I didn't want to let 2025 go without making something. And so I was like, it's time to do Dead Grandma. But the thing that really like cinched it for us was when we were like, we should shoot it on 35 millimeter. It was like, that was the thing that made it stupid enough that we just were like, we're going for it. We're doing this, and we're doing this now. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so effective as one take, and then yeah, the you know, Kodak logo at the end is almost like a jump scare.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, they really went for it.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy, you know, focusing and just doing it, but you're doing it in, you know, 80-second increments. So
yeah. Well, it also it made the budget like 5 times as much as it would have been. It also part of the reason we did it was because the DP we worked with owned his own 35 millimeter camera. And we were like, okay, so we kind of saved some money. Turns out we did not, because a week before he said, oh, my camera needs to be like sent into the shop, so we can't use it. And we're like, well, we're shooting this on Saturday. And he's like, well, I guess, he's like, I have a red, we can use that. And I was like, no, we're shooting it on film. He's like, okay, well, we gotta find a camera. So we shot in Kansas City. We ended up, the closest 35 millimeter camera we could find was in, I think, Dallas. We had to have it air freighted to Kansas City.
Okay.
Couldn't even get it shipped to the location. We had to have we don't live in Kansas City, we live about 3 hours from it. So we had to have somebody in Kansas City drive to the airport, pick it up from the plane, and yeah, so it was just, and also the DP's insurance didn't cover it, and so we had to pay for like extra insurances. So it was just like, at the point at which I was just like, fine. I was like, credit card, like, then it kind of got people going, oh, they're serious about this. They're like, okay, let's do this. All right, we're shooting on film. Let's go. So yeah, so yeah, it kind of like got people in the spirit of things, and yeah, it was a pain in the ass though.
Yeah, but it's a pain that totally paid off. It's
right. Yeah. No, I mean, it looks great. Like I love. Definitely right decision.
For Mark, Blank in Paris.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Really, without getting too personal, and you know, I know you never wanted to like dead name the person. I really appreciate that. But you also, at the end, you have the disclaimer that says that they were a willing participant as long as their identity is not revealed, basically. And I was curious if they had seen the film that you made. Like, did you show it to them in order to get their?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's her voice in the end.
Okay.
So that is her participation. So yeah, it was shot, many years ago, and I was going through some old footage, actually looking for something else, and then I sort of stumbled on this footage of this trip to Paris, and of course I remembered it, but I didn't quite remember the footage, and I, just in a couple days, like cut together this video and put voiceover to it, and I sent it to her. And we've been off and on in touch over the last 26 years, and she's still married to the same man. They have 2 children. I knew all this. They had 2 children, who are, actually the oldest child was of the age that I was almost like, could that be, because she came back from Paris and
they're here tonight.
No, I thought she might come to the LA screening actually, but they still live in Australia. So I sent it to her to say like, look, I made this. Do you want to like respond in some way? Do you want to add voiceover? She was a filmmaker for a long time. Do you want to make a film that could be paired with this? Do you want to collaborate on it? Because to me, it was still, just a work in progress. And that was actually about 2 years ago. And she immediately, we got on a FaceTime call, and she was just very guilt-ridden and had, a lot more sort of shame and baggage about it than I do, because I was single, and she was married, and I sort of thought, well, you're still with him, it's okay. And we had a lot of conversations where I was kind of doing my best to like console her in a certain way and be like, I think he would forgive you, because you chose him and you've been with him for all these years and you've been loyal ever since, and you've been a good partner, as far as I can tell, other than this, and we were in love, and that will happen. But she had a ton of guilt about it, and actually ended up going into some therapy again at the same time, and then did actually leave him 25 years later, because partly because of this film, but it was the sort of the straw that broke her back on the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so she left him, but then they were separated for a while and then kind of working things through, but she finally told him after I made this film, and she went through a whole lot of therapy and stuff. And now they're together again, but kind of like they were living separately, but sort of working it out. Their kids are, one's 24 and out of, college, and one's about to go to college or something. So it's like they're not like breaking up the family in the same sort of way. And then it was about a year though before, finally she said like, okay, you can show this, but don't put my name on it, and don't put it online anywhere, and don't submit it to any film festivals in Australia.
Very, very smart advice, or recommendations,
Yeah.
or the word I'm looking for. I thought it was very tasteful though, and there's something about the mini DV footage. It's mini DV.
Yeah.
That it just it really is a little bit timeless. I mean, it's not so long ago that it's like pure nostalgia, but there is like an idea that I'm just watching this and I'm like, is this 96? Is this 2005? Like, I really don't know how long ago this was, and I know it's a younger version of you, and I'm looking at you now and I'm like, yeah, you don't look that different though. You know what I mean?
The hair.
It's the hair. Okay. Yeah, well, the hat was the reveal.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we have questions from you guys? It's okay if you don't, but now's your chance. Let's go.
I have a comment about Dead Grandma. When I first watched it, I realized how, I guess, length and filmmaking, you can really just kind of have a good punchline, and that would kind of be considered a film. I thought it was very inspiring. I thought it was great. I do mostly like animated films, so and in school it's always about the length of the film, really. And I felt like yours was a great way of doing something that was short, good, and also I love the film quality too. I also prefer film.
Thank you. There was another short that played at Slamdance in the same section as us. I can't remember what it was called, but it's the one about the monkey. Do you remember that one? It's like, it's animated, it's stop motion. It's like a monkey is in a bar, and then he goes outside for a smoke, and he opens up his pack of I'm giving the whole thing away. It's also another like 80-second long thing. He goes outside for a smoke, he opens his pack, it looks like Marlboros, but he opens it and it's bananas inside of it. And he pulls it out and he like, looks like he's smoking, but he's eating a banana. And then he like puts it out on the ground and then goes to walk away and slips on the banana. But as an animator, you would probably appreciate that one too. It was made by a couple of Canadian young women. It was really good. I really loved that one, but I don't remember the name of it though. But
Anybody else? Questions or comments? We'll take either. If we don't, I can go with one more for you. When you you talked about the art a little bit, but also just using like location as a character. This kind of pertains to all the films in particular, but with the museum, I was just curious about like choosing that, and then choosing especially the sculpture that's sort of the centerpiece for the beginning and the end of it. Like, was that was a deliberate choice, or were you seeking something and that was something that was brought to your attention?
Yeah, so, well, I'll start with the sculpture because I always do this at Q&As. If anyone goes to LA and finds that sculpture on the street somewhere, just like text me a photo, because it is not in our possession anymore. It's made of styrofoam, and it looks heavy. It's made of styrofoam. It's so light. I could lift it with one hand, and then it was spray painted with a very specific like cream color over and over and over again. And by the end of the shoot, the production designer didn't want to take it, the sculptor didn't want to take it. I live in New York. We left it outside of the gallery on the street. So I think it's floating around LA in like different places. I don't know what happened to it, but I love that sculpture, and it looks, what it actually is, it's so different than what it feels like in the film. And I think that's the magic of the camera, is it makes it feel like, a really heavy, like well thought out sculpture, but it was a styrofoam sculpture.
and it was
I loved
made
it.
for the movie.
It was made for the movie, yeah.
That's awesome.
It was made for the movie. And the gallery
Styrofoam
is,
budget.
the styrofoam budget, $10, $15 probably. But the gallery itself, I always knew I wanted that to just be fluid, so that entire thing was Steadicam, and I would just have people walk through the space and extras move wherever they kind of wanted, and camera would just take, actors would take the lead and camera would follow. It was a super fun way to shoot.
Yeah, very economical too, I guess, like within the
Totally.
space. Yeah. I had a question for you, Nick, about I know you've worked not only in 80 seconds, but also in much longer things, and you created a feature that you've not put online, and you will never stream it anywhere. It's something that has to be seen, and I'm curious what the film is. Without spoiling it, I guess, and then when was this made? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's called It Doesn't Get Any Better Than This. It's a found footage horror movie that was
Great
made.
title.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and it's very indicative of the project itself, because the reason it's called It Doesn't Get Any Better Than This is because that was just written on a wall in the main location of the movie. We didn't choose it. It was just there. We found it. But the way that movie came about was, so my wife, Rachel, who's my filmmaking partner, we live in a small town in rural Missouri. We live in the middle of nowhere, and we moved there from LA during the pandemic, specifically because we wanted to move somewhere cheap where we could afford to make low budget horror movies and just do it. And it's so cheap to live there that we wanted to make this movie. She had written a script. She's a brilliant writer. She'd written this script called Homebody. It takes place in a rundown old duplex. And we actually found a duplex in our town that was being sold for very cheap, because a lot of places, there's just a lot of property there that it's like, people are just trying to get rid of it. And this was like a 90-year-old guy who's owned a number of properties, and his kids were trying to sell them off, like while he was still alive to pay for medical bills or something. So we ended up just buying this duplex to make this movie Homebody. But then when we went there, it was covered in like satanic graffiti. There had clearly been squatters inside, and just all this creepy stuff inside. And so we were like, okay, we're still gonna make Homebody, but we got our phones out immediately. We're like, that stuff in. And now I'm getting to answer, sorry, it's a long way to answer the question, but Christian basically was like, I'm not comfortable with us making this movie and playing ourselves if you're going to release it online. So it's actually your story reminded me a lot of this, because, so basically the reason why we said we're never going to release this online was because that was the condition under which Christian would agree to be in the movie. But then me being kind of like, oh, wait a second, I can exploit this and like get attention for us with it. We then said, okay, this is how we're marketing the movie. You must see it in theaters. And then like, it ended up like, this is a movie we spent no money on. It was like, then it got into TIFF, like surprisingly, and then like we got like a national run in Alamo Drafthouse and like, all this stuff. So we've screened it, and like we have no distribution. Like I'm our distributor. It's just me emailing with people. We've screened it over 100 times worldwide now, and it's still going. Like we've got our Italian premiere coming up soon. Like it's still getting festival premieres 3 years into its run. So yeah, so it's just going, and it's a thing that's just like, oh, you just have to be stupid and poor to do it this way. Because if you have money or are smart, you wouldn't do this. But like, people were like kind of impressed with it, because I think it's something Hollywood wishes they could do, but like they just can't. It doesn't make makes no financial sense. Like, don't replicate it. But it worked for us. So
That's awesome. It is the epitome of DIY.
right, yeah, exactly.
We do have to wrap it up here real quick. Mark has a screening tonight. One of the co-founders of Rooftop Films is actually screening at Rooftop Films tonight. So break a leg. We do have to get out of the room. One more time for the filmmakers, everybody. Please, thank you. This has been Slamdance on the Road. If you like what you've seen, definitely rate it on Letterboxd. It definitely helps get eyes on the films, unless they live in Australia. Yeah, we're gonna locate to. Oh yeah, sorry. This is Lily, everybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Lily. I'm from the Slamdance office in LA. It's so exciting to be here in New York for the screening. Those of you who are alumni and programmers who are going to be coming to the meetup afterwards, come find me in the lobby. Find my Slamdance shirt. I'm easy to locate. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed the program, and have a great night.
Thank y'all.